The lecture hall went silent the moment the alien student screamed. Not gasped. Not whispered. Screamed. Antennae flaring, translator implant crackling as one impossible sentence echoed across the orbital university. Human males are always fertile. Without a mating season. Every eye turned toward me. And in that moment, sitting in the heart of the Galactic Concord's most prestigious xenobiology academy, I realized humanity had just become the most dangerous species in the room. But that was only the beginning. My name is Elias Rowan, former Earth Systems engineer, current exchange student. Officially, I was here to represent human biological norms. Unofficially, I was a curiosity, an anomaly wrapped in soft skin and stubborn optimism. The Concord had admitted me as an experiment. A single human among thousands of alien scholars from species that planned reproduction down to the century. They had mating seasons, hormonal cycles, fertility windows measured in hours. Humans? We were inefficient, emotional, reckless. At least that's what they thought. Professor Zelthara hovered at the center of the amphitheater, her translucent body refracting the starlight beyond the station's dome. She had 3 hearts and no visible face, just a pulsing crown of neural light. Student Cararthel, she said calmly, please restate your concern without emotional outburst. The insectoid alien snapped her mandibles shut, compound eyes locked on me. Your species reproduces continuously, Cararthel said. No seasonal inhibitor. No pheromonal lock. No fertility dormancy. Is this a translation error? 1,000 data slates flickered to life. I swallowed. No, I said quietly. It's accurate. The silence that followed was heavier than vacuum. What I saw next changed everything. The Concord had been built on balance. Species rose, flourished, and stabilized. Population curves were smooth, predictable. Births were sacred events scheduled around resource cycles. Humanity didn't fit. When Earth joined the Concord 50 years ago, we'd barely survived our own mistakes, climate collapse, orbital wars, genetic inequality. We were invited not as equals, but as a cautionary tale. Yet here I was, breaking centuries of biological assumptions with a single sentence. Professor Zelthara dimmed her bioluminescence, a sign of deep contemplation. And human females, she asked. They have cycles, I replied. But human males don't shut down. Fertility doesn't turn off. A murmur rippled through the hall. Shock translated into 100 alien frequencies. But that violates population equilibrium, another student blurted. Your species should have collapsed under its own numbers. I almost laughed. We nearly did, I said. Multiple times. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The questions followed me everywhere. In the nutrient halls, aliens stared as if I carried a concealed weapon. In the transit rings, conversations stopped when I passed. I became a walking anomaly, dangerous, fascinating. Then came the private summons. The door to the xenogenetic ethics chamber sealed behind me with a sound like a coffin closing. Inside waited the Oversight Council. 7 beings. 7 species. 7 perspectives on survival. And fear. We have reviewed your testimony, said Counselor Nasun, a tall avian entity with fractal wings. If human reproductive capacity is unregulated, your species represents an existential imbalance. My heart pounded. With respect, I said, we regulate ourselves. Culturally. Ethically. Your historical records suggest otherwise, Nasun replied. A projection flared to life. Earth's population spikes, wars fought over resources, cities choking under numbers. Then another image appeared. Human colonies. Thriving. Stable. The data didn't match the narrative. But that was only the beginning, Counselor Zelthara said softly. They told me the truth in fragments like breaking glass. The Concord wasn't just an alliance. It was a system of control. Species that joined were quietly guided. Genetic dampeners introduced. Fertility cycles extended. Reproductive urges softened over generations. No one noticed. It was framed as optimization. Balance above all. Humanity had refused. We were too genetically diverse. Too stubborn. Too emotionally driven to accept silent modification. So instead, the Concord had labeled us harmless. Primitive. Non-threatening. Until now. What do you want from me? I asked, my voice shaking. Nasun's wings folded inward. We want to understand why your species didn't collapse, he said, and whether that trait can be shared. The word hung there. Shared. None of us were prepared for the truth that followed. They showed me classified simulations. Alien civilizations on the brink of extinction, not from war or plague but from overregulation. Birth rates too low. Genetic stagnation. Emotional detachment. The Concord was dying. Slowly. Quietly. Humanity, with all its chaos, had solved a problem the galaxy couldn't name. We bonded through love. Through irrational attachment. Through hope stronger than logic. And yes, through relentless reproduction driven not by season, but by connection. You want to use us, I said. We want to learn from you, Zelthra corrected. But learning requires access. Access meant something else entirely. The proposal was simple. Terrifying. Human volunteers would partner with other species. Not as breeding stock, but as emotional catalysts. Cultural integration. Biological exchange. A forbidden experiment. My stomach twisted. And if we refuse? Nasun didn't answer. Because he didn't have to. I found Kararthel later, alone in the Arboretum ring. The insectoid student who'd screamed in class sat beside a pool of bioluminescent water, antennae drooping. I didn't mean to endanger you, she said without looking up. You didn't, I replied. You exposed something. Her mandibles clicked softly. Nervousness. My species is dying, she admitted. We haven't had a natural birth in 3 generations. Only cloned continuance. I sat beside her. Do you want children? I asked. She hesitated, then nodded. That was the moment everything shifted. Because this wasn't about fertility. It was about choice. But the Concord didn't believe in choice anymore. The mid-cycle emergency session was chaos. Delegates shouted. Translators lagged. Security drones hovered like vultures. The human must be contained, one counselor demanded. Their biology destabilizes equilibrium. Zelthra turned toward me. Elias Rowan, she said. Will you consent to participate in the integration initiative? Every eye fixed on me. This was the turning point. I could feel it in my bones. If I said yes, humanity would become a resource. If I said no, the Concord would find another way. I thought of Earth. Of cities rebuilt from ash. Of parents who chose to love in a dying world. I'll participate, I said slowly. But not as property. Not as a tool. The chamber froze. We do this openly, I continued. With consent. With shared governance. Or not at all. For the first time, the council hesitated. What I said next changed everything. Because humans don't survive by balance, I said. We survive by caring too much. The vote took hours. Outside, the station rotated through artificial night. Stars drifted like witnesses. When the decision came, it wasn't unanimous. But it was enough. The integration initiative was approved, reframed. Not controlled reproduction but cultural exchange. Emotional education. Partnership. I became the first human liaison. Not a specimen. A bridge. The backlash was immediate. Protests. Fear. Threats. But so was hope. Alien students attended human psychology lectures. Humans learned alien life cycle rituals. Bonds formed, not always romantic but real. Kararthel was the first to sign up. When she told me, her voice trembled. I don't know what will happen, she said. I smiled sadly. Neither do we, I replied. That's kind of our thing. Years later, they would mark that moment as the turning point of the Concord. The day equilibrium gave way to resilience. The day logic learned to coexist with love. As for me, I never went back to Earth. I stayed among the stars, teaching a galaxy that survival isn't about controlling life. It's about letting it happen. And somewhere in the halls of the academy, an alien student would still whisper in disbelief. Always fertile without a season. And smile. Because now they understood why humanity refused to die.